Hey, everybody. Aloha.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Google Hangout with Athena Moberg and myself, Bobby Parrish, here on a Wednesday night when we're taping it, but it might be pretty much any time for anybody watching on YouTube. Or what are the other venues where they are, Athena?
Well, I want to welcome our iTunes subscribers, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, anyone who's, oh,
Hi, everybody. Welcome to
do you hear that?
I do. We have a nice playback feed. Do you
I,
have a page open on your browser?
I don't think so. Let me just check.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Google Hangout with Athena Moberg and myself, Bobby Parrish, here on a Wednesday night when we're taping it, but it might be pretty much any time for anybody watching on YouTube. Or what are the other venues where they are, Athena? I don't have anything else open.
iHeartRadio, anyone who's, oh, this is interesting.
Do you hear that? I do. We have a nice playback feed.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Do you have a page open on your browser?
I don't think so. Let me just check.
Well, this is definitely odd.
Yeah, every week we have something interesting. Every week since the first week, we have had something interesting like this happen. We apologize. Harriet, when you hear this going on, we're going to need you to edit this out. I still hear it. Do you
I still hear it. It's not terrible. It's just an echo now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Oh boy. We're echoing. Yeah, every week we have something interesting. Oh, Bobby. The first week, we have had something interesting like this happen. We apologize. Harriet, when you hear this going on, we're going to need you to edit this out. Oh my goodness. Oh,
I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, did it go away?
I don't hear it.
I don't hear it anymore. Do you hear it anymore?
I hear it when I talk, but I don't hear it when you talk.
Okay. Well, it is 4 minutes after our start time, and just as it always is every single week, we have something interesting going on technologically. Our software that we're using for our Hangouts on air every week, it is not really working. How do I file a complaint with Google, Bobby? I think I should file a complaint. I mean, this is a first world problem, but still, we apologize for the technical difficulties. I do want to welcome all of our subscribers from iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, anyone who could be tuning in on YouTube on a different day or evening. This could be 3 in the morning and you can't sleep, and you Googled the word dissociation and
and here you are. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, we want to welcome you.
Absolutely. We're so glad that you're here. And just to let you know, our website, nomoreshameproject.com. So if you're looking at this video and you want some more information about who we are and what we do, please don't hesitate to jump over to the website and take a look at all the programs that we offer. Athena and I are trauma recovery coaches, and we have set up this website, the No More Shame Project, to help survivors. And that's what we're about. We're about to help you in your recovery, help you feel better, help you reduce the shame that you have in your life, and to provide you with as many resources as we can.
Yeah.
So, really quick, if you are in crisis, or if you are needing some help, some direct help tonight, we really encourage you to reach out to RAIN, and their number is 1-800-656-HOPE, HOPE. They also have a live chat feature on their website, which is rain.org, RAINN.org. So if you need immediate help, they are the #1 resource that we always recommend.
Yeah. Hey, Bobby, can you hear me? It says that I'm muted. I can't tell if I'm really muted or not.
I can hear you. I can hear you
Awesome.
just fine.
Okay. Well, then I'm not going to pay attention to the software at all, and I'm just going to go ahead and get right on into content. I realize we're 6 minutes after starting, and we want to jump right in. Our topic tonight is dissociation. And a lot of times, if you are a trauma survivor or an abuse survivor, specifically if you have survived any type of trauma over a long period of time, whether it be from your childhood or even your young adult years, chances are you may have experienced some symptoms of dissociation. And we have some awesome information here for you. You can go to our website and download this for free, as we just want to offer this to you as a valuable resource, because we know that going through your recovery is a difficult process, and we want to be as helpful as possible. So you can go to nomoreshameproject.com/downloadables. The topic tonight is dissociation. You can click on the word dissociation one page, and you will get a valuable resource that you can pull up and print out for yourself.
Can you see the web page? I changed it, Athena. Can you see the web page now where they would go?
Yes, I do actually.
Okay, this is the No More Shame Project. Yep, there's the downloadables page, so that's what you'll see when you come to the website. And I believe there might be a spot for you to download, to input your email. Is that right? Yet, Athena?
I do have that. I was changing the wording.
Okay.
On it. I was changing the wording on our button, and you will be able to do that shortly. Probably by the time you are watching this, that will be an option.
So all of our one pages are here. For every Google Hangout that we do, you'll see this on our website. It's a one-page sheet of information that Athena and I have put together that's going to give you some information about the topic, and then, really important, both of us believe strongly that you need tips and strategies. You need actionable steps that you can take to deal with these issues in your life that you can put into place today. And so this is something that Athena and I really believe really strongly in providing for you guys.
Healthy, informed trauma recovery.
There you go. Okay, did it switch back over, Athena?
It certainly did.
Okay. And like Athena said, dissociation is something that trauma survivors can experience. And the word dissociation literally means to disconnect. So in a psychiatric and psychological term, it means when one function of our brain disconnects from the other. And for most of us, dissociation during abuse, and this could be domestic violence, this could be childhood abuse of any kind, it can be sexual abuse, physical abuse, it can even be verbal abuse. The brain separates the being present in your body function with the being aware of what's going on function. And so it's almost like you separate from your body and you're viewing something. Either you're viewing it from afar. I've had clients talk about, and we had people talk about this last night, didn't we, Athena?
We did, yeah. You can either be viewing it from a distance and looking down on what it is that you're going through, or you can actually leave completely and go into an imaginary place. And it says that my microphone is muted. It
Nope,
keeps,
I can hear you. I
I
can hear you
wonder
just
why it
fine.
keeps doing that.
I,
It's very distracting. We apologize, you guys, for so many technical difficulties this evening. I am going to need to write a letter because I just don't know. It's like every single week there's something. Okay, so moving back on topic, I have had I've had clients actually share with me that they were in the middle of an episode of abuse. This particular type of abuse was verbal abuse, and they were being yelled at very loudly. And what happened to them was they actually fell over.
really?
They fell over and found themselves um, on the floor.
Wow.
And that was something that was brought to my attention just today.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It was right in the middle of a very heated discussion. They were being screamed at or verbally um, abused,
Right.
and it was so stressful for them that they must have dissociated or disconnected. That the next thing they knew, they were on the ground, and they don't know what
Wow.
happened.
And they
So
have
that
no
was
memory of it.
nope, no memory of it whatsoever.
Wow.
And that's something that I had not heard of, but um,
Yeah.
that's, I mean, it's interesting that that was brought, and I think the reason it was brought up is because we were discussing the topic of our sex abuse chat, which is on Tuesdays. Rachel Thompson and Bobby Parrish started Sex Abuse Chat, which is a Twitter chat that is specifically for survivors of sexual abuse and their family members, and that is every Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. Same exact time as Bobby's and my live show every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Did I say a.m.? Oh my gosh. So 6 p.m. Pacific and 9 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday. So chat is on Tuesdays and our live show is on Wednesdays. So yeah, dissociation, the topic for tonight. That was a little bit peculiar.
Yeah,
When I
usually,
heard that, it
yeah,
surprised me.
usually at least part of the mind will stay present in the body, and the body will function. So that's interesting. I've had clients talk about being in a tree, looking down on their abuser abusing them. It's like they had flown up into the tree. Um, for me, I don't ever remember observing my abuse from above or from a different point. I had a bunk bed. We had bunk beds, my sister and I drew pictures on. I had the bottom bunk, she had the top bunk, and I drew pictures in crayon on the cardboard. For some reason, my parents had put cardboard underneath my sister's bed, and I drew pictures in crayon. And so when I was being abused, I would fly up into those pictures and basically just kind of fantasize. That's where my mind went. And so I didn't, I didn't have any really distinct memories of the worst of it for a while. Did you go through dissociation, Athena? Did you have that when you were being abused?
I did. I did have dissociation, and the way I describe it, the easiest way for me to describe it is it all goes black.
Yeah.
Um, there are chunks of time that are missing, and I've said this before, and the only way for me to describe this, I'm dating myself by using this as a visual example. So my the viewers and listeners right now that are in my age group in their 30s or 40s or 50s, they'll
Uh-huh.
know what I'm talking about. When I was a kid, there were those little things called viewfinders. Mine was red,
Yes, yes,
and you
yes.
would put a circle, a disc that had little pieces of negatives,
Right.
or little pieces of pictures, and you would go click, 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 and
Yep.
as you would click, it would change the picture. It would blink. It would flash to a different picture.
Yeah.
And so the way that I can describe my abuse or my dissociation
Uh-huh.
during my abuse is I remember click, that's what's going on. Click, something
Uh-huh.
else happening. Click, something else happening. It's like it
Right.
just snaps and it just goes
It's like
from.
screenshots.
It is like screenshots. And however, part of it is almost like in living color with Dolby Digital surround sound as well. But the parts where I dissociate are more like
Uh-huh.
blips. So the abuse itself, if I
Uh-huh.
smell something or hear something or
Right, right,
experience something
right.
that triggers me, that is like a movie with digital surround sound. But the dissociation and the dissociative behavior that I had, the coping mechanism, my body was protecting itself, that is like the
Absolutely.
blips on the viewfinder.
And when you see the blips, does it have audio? Or is it just a picture, a flash of a picture?
That part's just the flash of a picture.
Okay.
The parts that I completely disappeared for
Right,
and then
right,
I remember them again,
right. That
usually they're
has.
just a picture. Usually,
Okay.
but there are pieces that are long strips of movie that play
Wow.
and they go over and over and over and
Yeah.
over again.
Isn't that
So,
fascinating? The mind, I mean, it's not fascinating that you were abused, but the way the mind tries to protect us is the most amazing thing to me.
yeah.
And that's why we dissociate. If people ask me, why do we dissociate? Because it's the mind's way of protecting us. On a subconscious level, our mind tries to perceive, is this something that we can emotionally survive? Not physically survive, but emotionally survive. And if the mind doesn't think that we can, that's when it implements the dissociation. So it's a coping mechanism. And last night we had multiple people talk in chat about they didn't think they would have survived if they hadn't dissociated. And I hear you. It's a horrible thing to have to be present for that, especially for a child, if it's childhood
Yeah,
abuse. Um,
definitely. I I do find it fascinating that so many people talked about their dissociation and
mhm.
how that has contributed to people bringing up things to them like, oh, you must be lying, you don't really remember it, or how could that possibly have happened, or you must not be remembering it correctly.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and I remember, I forget who it was that on Twitter they tweeted us after chat saying, "I was told that I was lying. Who was I to argue with them? I was a child." It's
right.
like, why would we lie about something so humiliating? It's like it to me. This is a horrible example, but I think that our listeners and viewers will understand this example. It would be like being a child or being like in junior high school, in middle school, that
Yeah,
time of your life when everything, all eyes are on you, you are so
right,
awkward, you feel
right.
like no one ever feels like they fit in, their ears and their teeth are huge and they're awkward. It
Yeah,
would be like it would be like lying and saying that you showed up at school and you had pooped your pants everywhere. Gosh, I
yeah.
just pooped my pants everywhere at school. It was humiliating. I pooped my pants everywhere. Who would say that on purpose? Like, why would you ever like wish
Put
that on
yourself in
anyone
that
or
situation.
put yourself in that situation? I mean,
Yeah,
it pales in comparison. Pooping your pants pales in comparison to incurring years of ongoing crazy horrific abuse and being violated in the most
yeah,
intimate way possible, but it's
yeah.
like it doesn't make any sense for anyone to honestly think someone is lying about it. Like, what do you have to gain other than being completely humiliated? So
Exactly.
anyway, that's a
Yeah.
rant complete.
Well, that's interesting because, and we talked about this last night about how there's new research that shows that while dissociation helps us survive, in turn, it makes it difficult for us to recover. And I think that's really interesting because the research talks about, is dissociation, does it have a price that's too high to pay? Now, we don't have a choice when we're children whether or not we
Yeah.
dissociate, so that's
Hmm.
kind of a moot point. But I do think as survivors, we need to be aware that if we dissociated when we were children through our abuse, if we dissociated as an adult through domestic violence, through a war situation, any kind of horror tragedy, that it can complicate our recovery. It doesn't have to, and it's not a guarantee, but it can complicate your recovery because your mind has sectioned off a lot of things that you need to consciously process in order to recover. So,
Correct.
half a dozen of one, half a dozen of the other. Yeah, you made it through, but now you might have a harder time. But you know, and that's something I know that you and I both feel strongly about, is it's important for trauma survivors to know what's ahead, to know what recovery looks like, to know how long it might take, to know exactly what they're dealing with when they're on that journey.
Let's talk about that for a moment, Bobby. Let's touch on that right now. I would like to bring up. I'd like to bring up a topic that was brought up last night in chat, and we have a dear friend of ours who goes through dissociative episodes to where they're quite harmful or potentially dangerous for her.
Yes.
The way that this shows up, and what I'm discussing with you right now, if you're just tuning in, we're discussing dissociation and how it helped us survive abuse as a child or young adult or domestic violence or what have you, but how it affects us as adults. So as an adult, when you dissociate, I recently, as you guys know, I traveled to the mainland to go visit family, and we did about a 3-week vacation. It was great. I found myself, I was near my hometown where a lot of my abuse happened, and I was driving, and I found myself I would miss things. I would sort of check out, go somewhere.
Yeah.
And I found myself lost. Not because the topography had changed, which it has. There's a lot more stoplights and so on and so forth. And when I was a kid, there weren't so many stoplights. Everything's different now, of course, because it's modern. But that's not the point. The point is, I'm in a place that I'm super duper duper familiar with, that I could navigate with my eyes closed, and I could think of it all right now, regardless of the stores, restaurants, and so forth. But I was lost. I was missing moments of time. I literally almost ran a red light. I almost hit someone. I was clearly not okay. I was starting to hyperventilate because I was wondering what was wrong with me. So I had to pull over as a safety, as a choice that I needed to make for safety purposes. I needed to pull over. And I just got outside. I sort of just wanted to feel the wind blow. I touched the car. The car was warm. I played with my wedding ring a little bit.
Anything to help ground you.
Yes. And we had discussed this prior to my traveling, that this might come up for me. So I was thankful that I knew ahead of time, and that I was able to be mentally prepared that these things might happen. And that is our goal in having these resources available to you, these video resources, the Storify episodes where you can go back and look at all of the tweets, and the audio resources, the PDF downloads for you to read. I wanted to talk a little bit about the part that was brought up last night in chat, Bobby. I wanted to hear your take on it and hear your commentary or your input regarding things being potentially dangerous for someone who is struggling with having multiple dissociative episodes, and the way dissociation is showing up in their life now as an adult because of their years of ongoing abuse.
Right. And especially if we experienced significant trauma as children over a period of time, our brain learns to cope with stress by dissociating. So it's a pathway in our brain. So anytime that we experience something stressful, something that distresses us emotionally or physically, our brain goes woof right into that trench that it's built, and it goes straight to dissociation. So we grow up And the more that we do this, the deeper that rut gets, and the more that our brain associates distress with dissociation. And so here we are as an adult, and now we're not dissociating just when we recall our abuse, but we're dissociating anytime anything distresses us, physically or emotionally. And that's where things can become dangerous. For a while as a child, I would dissociate during my episodes of abuse, and then they would get so bad, though, that when I came back to my body after my abuser had left, I had physical after effects of the abuse, and they were just terrifying to me. I didn't know what had happened. I didn't know what was going on. I was just a child, and so my brain started delaying the time when it would rejoin with my body, and it got longer and longer and longer. And so my brain was really good at the dissociation thing. And to this day still, when I drive sometimes, I'll be someplace and then I'll be home and I'll think, oh, I hope I didn't hit a dog or run over a squirrel or something. That is honestly, I'm not joking. That's a thought that goes through my head at least a couple of times a week as I make that drive from one place to the other.
Yeah.
Now, I've never had a problem with it. I've never run a stoplight or anything, but it is that pathway that our brain takes because it's used to it. But there are times, I don't miss chunks of time. I have had clients who become aware, and they're in a strange part of town they've never been to. They can't find their car because they don't know where they parked. They don't know what they're doing there. They don't know what they've done there. They might find receipts in their pockets for items that they didn't remember purchasing. They might find phone numbers. They find messages on their answering machine from people they don't know. All of those things can happen. And so it's important that you realize when maybe it's not safe to drive, when maybe it's not safe to even engage in a career where being dissociative might be harmful. Are you a pilot? Are you a truck driver? Do you drive a delivery van? All of those things. Are you a 911 operator where you need to be present? All of those things might be things that for that small time being you might need to reconsider. I had a client who was a fire jumper. And this was when I was in Washington State. And during fire season, they had the fire people that they would parachute in to the forest fires. And she was taken off that duty. She wasn't allowed to perform that duty until we got her dissociation onto a minimum. And then she was released and able to go back to that. But dissociation is a powerful, powerful thing. But thankfully, the brain is plastic, and we can make a new path.
So let's explain to our viewers and listeners what it is that you mean. Is my camera working? It says my camera's not working. Can you see me waving at you?
I can see you when you're down, but I can't see you when you come up here. Let's go back to our one page. And we'll talk about that, and then that.
Okay. So let's talk about what you mean by the brain is plastic. I know what you mean, but I want everyone, all of our listeners and viewers, to know what you mean.
Thank you, Athena, so much. Remind me when I use jargon. Our brain is plastic, meaning our brain can learn the new pathways. We can't really undo the old ones, but we can learn new ones and set down new pathways. Our brain can learn a different way of handling things. So we can learn how to stay in the present moment. We can learn how to deal with distress and stress before it gets too bad, and then we fall into dissociation. And that's, in fact, as we look at the tips for stopping and interrupting dissociation, the first thing that we recommend is that you develop an awareness of what triggers your dissociation, so you can prevent that from happening. And what I talk about with clients is, does a fog kind of start to come in on your peripheral vision? Do your shoulders start to tense up? Do you start to get a headache? how do you start to know when the dissociation might take place? Now, sometimes you're never going to know. It's just going to be boom one minute and boom the next. But you will, if you practice awareness over a period of time, begin to become more aware of when that dissociation might be looming for you. So that's really
Okay.
important. Are you there still?
Yeah, I think I'm here. I can't really
Okay.
tell anymore. I don't know how we're going to be able to stop this from happening. But I can't really tell what's going on. Can you?
I can see the one page up on the screen.
Yeah, I see that, and but then I don't see me anymore. I think I'm gone again. So, um, I wanted to. It's it's funny, but I'm like getting a little irritated. You know, it's like doesn't make any sense um for this to be happening. I'm trying to see what's going on here. Oh well.
Okay.
So you can hear me okay though,
I
right? My
can hear you
microphone's
just
working.
fine. Yep.
It says my microphone's not working. So it's like I'm claiming warfare. This is complete warfare. So I wanted to bring up a good topic, talking about this. We did touch a little bit on using tactile sensations to keep
Yes.
our mind and body united with one another, like touching
Right.
rough surfaces, et cetera, et
Right.
cetera. Like I
Right.
was touching the car when I went to the mainland. I touched the car,
Right.
and
It's
uh,
really hard for our mind and our body to stay disengaged when our body is really engaged.
mhm,
You know,
yeah,
um, like we talked about the rough surfaces. I run my hands under cold water if I have cold water available to me.
yeah,
Um, um, I just find that to be a useful technique. I have like you said you do with your wedding ring, I have a watch that I run my fingers over because the surface is kind of rough.
uh-huh. Does that help you?
It does. It helps me a lot. Um, I'm
I wanted to ask a question or talk a little bit about childhood
mhm.
dissociation again, and as it pertains to dissociative episodes when I'm an adult.
Okay.
So I can specifically remember times when I was a child that I I, I would notice things wrong with my body,
Uh-huh. Okay.
and I must have known instinctively that it was due to my abuse. So
It often, yeah.
yeah, but the age that I was so young. I mean, I was, 8, 9, 10 years old, probably, really, really young. And it went on for years, but I didn't know how to communicate that.
Right.
So I remember noticing something physical about my body that had happened, and I was so afraid of it. It scared me so much and,
Right.
and disturbed me so much that
Right.
I was sure that I was going to be asked about it. I was instantly paranoid that
Yeah.
everyone was going to notice
Right.
and that I was going to need to have an explanation. And so I fabricated this story in my
Mhm.
mind that I was like, I would know how I would be able to answer them when they asked me what was
Yeah.
going on. And I'd be able to say, oh, well, I fell, because I do remember reaching out to a counselor
Uh-huh.
at my school
Uh-huh.
and trying to share with them what was going on.
Okay.
And when that happened, I got in a lot of trouble. I got in a lot of trouble for reaching out,
Yeah.
and I reached out. So I learned at a very young age that you just don't talk about it.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so when I noticed a physical manifestation of the abuse and it was left over, like it had left marks on
Right.
me
Right.
and had changed my body, I remember being so terrified that someone was going to notice that I would need to quickly come up with a story to explain away the abuse so that no one would tell my parents that I talked about the abuse, because then if I did, I would get in worse trouble and the abuse would be worse.
Right.
So if
Right.
you're listening right now and you can identify with this, you can feel free to always reach out to Bobby or I, and we would just love to hear from you. We would love to hear your stories. We do have our anthology that's going to be published November 17th. That's volume 1 of No More Shame Project. If you're interested in writing for us and possibly being published in an anthology in the future, we're going to try to publish one anthology a year, maybe more, but it's quite the large task we're finding out. So, right, Bobby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what we want you to know, and one of the reasons that Athena and I try to be very open about sharing our experiences, is because one of the most difficult things as a survivor is that we have been isolated by our shame. And we have kept our stories to ourselves, and we have kept silent and kept our secrets until we decided we weren't going to do that anymore, and we decided to step up and share our stories. And there are very few things that she or I have not heard. And so when we share our stories, we're hoping that someone out there, at least someone, is going, oh my gosh, that happened to me too. I felt that way too. I thought that way too. And suddenly you don't feel so alone. And that's why, when you come and you listen to these, if you're listening on a podcast, if you're watching on YouTube and you wonder, why do we reveal such personal things? It's because we want you to know you're not alone.
Yeah.
And I didn't have much of that kind of a gift as I was going through my recovery. There weren't a lot of trauma recovery programs, and there wasn't any group process for trauma survivors. And so that's one of the things we want to do. We want to bring you into community. We want you to know you're not alone, and we want you to know that chances are there's someone out there who has experienced what you're going through right now and has experienced what you went through as a child.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be isolated anymore.
Yeah, that's definitely the reason that we're here. We're here for you. And we put together these resources, whether they be written or audio or video or what have you, just all of it. All of it is for you, so that you know that you're supported, you're not alone, you're understood. We may not have walked in your shoes and lived with your abuser and experienced the exact abuse that you experienced, because your story is uniquely yours, which is why we publish the anthologies. But we can all understand the level of shame and the level of secrecy or silence or stigma that is attached to anything regarding domestic violence, abuse, child abuse, sexual abuse, physical, emotional, mental. There are so many different types of abuse. There's financial abuse. There's so many different types of abuse, and people love to throw around the word, oh, you're just playing the victim. I can't tell you how painful it is to see my amazing, courageous, wonderful, brave survivors that I'm in community with, that I have been encouraging and they have been encouraging me. I can't tell you how painful it is for me to hear of other people bashing them for going through recovery. Why don't you just be quiet already? Why don't you just get over it already? What's wrong with you? Why do you have to play the victim? I have to tell you, those words were said to me. Those words were said to me in the year 1999, and I was in a relationship with someone, and the person who I was in a relationship with, his mom is the one who said that to me.
Really?
I can't tell you how incredibly painful that was. I had waited my whole life, I had waited decades to talk about what had happened to me because she had created a safe place for me to speak with her on that level. And then her response was, well, you just love to play the victim, don't you? I can't tell you how that stunted my growth and really hindered my healing. And I was, it wasn't until months later that I even dared to speak about anything. I was so significantly triggered in having so many flashbacks and experiencing so much post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms that I was literally almost unable to raise my child and function in a normal environment.
Wow.
And there was a gal, her name was Kelly. Something had happened to a family member of mine, and I brought that family member to this community clinic that offered like free or low-cost counseling if you had gone through something. And I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. This person definitely needs that. I didn't know that I needed anything. I was just so full-blown in survival mode that I was just like, you know, rawr, I'm woman, hear me roar, I'm fine. Like, this is totally for this other person. So I took my family member to this counselor. Her name was Kelly. And I would wait outside, you know, and I would say, thank you so much, you know, thanks so much for helping them, and you're just the best, and I'm so grateful that this service is here for people that can't afford it. That's awesome. I didn't know that that was going to be the beginning of my transformational journey through recovery, and that I was going to be able to help others. I used to dream, when I saw the transformation in this person that Kelly was helping, my family member, and what relief it gave me and my family member to have received that type of care. I used to fantasize about someday being someone just like Kelly.
Wow.
And that was in 1999, and here I am 15 years later. And I'm involved in advocacy work, and I've devoted my entire life to helping others that have experienced trauma. And I can't tell you how rewarding that is. Like, it makes me like get teary-eyed if I even think about it. Like, seriously. So if you guys are listening or watching right now and you have experienced dissociation, or you're a survivor of some sort of domestic violence or abuse or horrific trauma or what have you, and you feel like you might be alone, or you've had someone reach out and help you, and you've really dreamed of being able to help other people someday, there are communities out there on Facebook and Twitter and all across social media that really give you the opportunity to help others. So I encourage you to take a look and get involved. What do you think, Bobby?
I think that would be great. Let's show. Watch me switch my screen sharing here.
Yay! I see you now. That's much better. Can you see me yet, or no?
No, I cannot see you. I can hear your lovely self, though.
I do not know what happened.
Let's talk about connecting with us.
Yeah.
So that people, if they want to reach out, they want to connect with us. Like Athena said, we have multiple support groups available. They're all private, secret Facebook groups. We have our Twitter chat, and we have courses and coaching. We have the downloadables that we shared with you. But if you want to connect with us directly, and we would love to hear from you, here's how you can do it. Twitter is Truth is Hers. Athena is Athena Moberg. And then together we have an account for the No More Shame Project, which is NMS Project. Oh my goodness, that's a tongue twister.
It is.
Email. And the reason I'm reading these out, for those of you who might be watching on YouTube and you're wondering what I'm doing, we have listeners on podcast, iTunes, and Stitcher for our podcast. So that's why I'm reading these aloud. They can't see them. So I'm at BobbyLParish@gmail.com. Athena is at AthenaMoberg.com. And then the project itself you can reach at NoMoreShameProject@gmail.com.
Yes. No More Shame Project at gmail.com. And we're on Twitter quite often and Facebook, and we're friendly. We're really friendly, and you can just reach out to us if you have a question. Post it on our No More Shame Project Facebook page if you have a question, and or you could even go onto our website, nomoreshameproject.com, and there will be a little spot where you can subscribe, and you'll never miss an episode of the No More Shame Google Hangouts. And I'm not even sure if they're always going to be Google Hangouts. If the software continues to act like this and where you can't see us anymore, then we're going to switch to something else, and we're not going to use Google anymore. So we'll just go directly to YouTube and do live streams on YouTube because we know those work. And but you know, you won't miss anything. We'll make sure that we send you a confidential little note saying, hey, we have a chat coming up, or hey, we're going to be in a town near you. We would love to meet you. We just would love to just interact with you and let you know that you matter and that we care. And this topic of dissociation is quite the bomb. I mean, we have so many people that are interacting and that are asking questions and that have experienced dissociative episodes, whether it be in childhood or in their adult life. And we have had requests to have more chats and more Google Hangouts or more videos on this topic. So if you have topics that you would like us to discuss that are related to things that you've experienced, whether it be low self-esteem or eating disorders, like you've really struggled with overeating or obsessive exercising or video game addiction or pornography addiction, if there are different things that you would like for us to talk about, we would love for you to let us know so that we can address the topics that matter most to you.
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet. Now there's our weekly activities, and these are free activities, and we do them each week without fail. The Twitter chat, and Athena mentioned this earlier, it's Tuesday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I believe for our listeners in the United Kingdom, it's 2 a.m. for you, unfortunately.
Yes, on Thursday, 2 a.m. on Thursday.
Isn't it Wednesday? Yes, yes.
2 a.m. on Thursday.
Yes. To participate.
Crazy, huh?
It is, but you know, we do have listeners. We have listeners in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. So we hope that you're listening to this on a replay, but if you're up live with us, we hope it's not for a bad reason.
Yeah, we hope that you'll rest well. And I'm just going to check our Twitter feed while we're here and give a little shout out to anyone who sent us a message. And let's see here. Oh, I have Susan. Susan has sent me a message, and she wanted to let all of our listeners know and our viewers know that her story that she shared about her abuse went live today, and she would love our encouragement. So we have the most incredible, supportive survivor community out there. I've had people in tears saying that they never even felt like they belonged to anything their whole lives, and now they feel like they do. So I just want to encourage you guys. There is a gal that is part of our survivor community that could use our encouragement, and her name is Susan, and her Twitter handle is Shiny Blue Dress, just like it sounds, Shiny Blue Dress. And she says it's a huge step for her, and she would like our support. So hope that you guys reach out to her and just say hi or let her know that we gave her a little shout out and that we're encouraging you to go on and support her.
Next week, we're going to be talking about, I think next week is another big topic, Athena, and this is one that we have been asked multiple times to talk about, and we talked about it. You know, the Twitter chat has been going on since January of this year, and you and I started the Google chats the beginning of September, and I'd say probably 5 or 6 months ago we discussed faith and abuse in our Twitter chat. Well, next week we're going to tackle faith and abuse again in our Twitter chat because it is just so prevalently asked for. People want to talk about it. And then we'll carry the conversation over Wednesday night to our live stream and talk some more about it. And this is not a time, I don't want anybody not to come because they think it's going to be about sharing your faith or trying to convert anyone or trying to force something down anybody's throat. Absolutely not what it's about. This is about how was faith used perhaps in a negative way when you were abused? How can we develop a healthy faith life now as adults? How can we develop a relationship with our higher power that we feel comfortable with? It is absolutely not about anyone trying to convince you to believe a certain way or to believe a certain thing or to tell you that you don't believe the right things and you don't believe the correct things that are going to help you on your road to recovery. Because that's not what Athena and I are about. We're about supporting you where you are. As long as what you believe and what you're doing is healthy for you, then we are absolutely behind you 100%. So I don't want anybody to be frightened of our talking about that. It's going to be very interesting. I really would encourage you to check back in with us, or if you're listening to us on the podcast or on YouTube, bump on up to the next episode because I promise it's going to be a good one.
Definitely. I wanted to share a little bit about the topic of faith while we're on that topic.
Absolutely.
And that is, many of you listening right now or are watching, and I know that everything starts off small, and I think I might have just a handful of subscribers right now. Most of which, might even be like, family members or really well-meaning loved ones that want me to know that what I'm doing matters or whatever. But if you are listening and you are a subscriber and you have been following me for a while on social media, or you even know me in my personal life here on the island of Maui or from the mainland, you know that I am a woman of faith. You know that I believe that my faith is what has gotten me through I actually survived the crazy, horrific events that I have survived because of, I do feel that I was delivered from certain situations and protected, and that yes, it was meant for evil, and there was harm that was meant for me. I even had a conversation via Skype with a family member this past weekend who said, I have a real problem with God because he purposely allowed this to happen to you. He purposely did this to you. And I had to say, whoa, I really appreciate your concern for my well-being and the love that you have for me in the aftermath of my abuse. But I just want to be really clear and say, I don't think that God punishes people, and I don't think God punished me for anything I did wrong and allowed me to be and molested and abused and punched and hit and beat and yelled at and bullied and belittled and all the different things that I could go on and on and on and make people want to turn off the podcast or the video because it's too painful to listen to. But I'm just saying, I don't think God did those things to me on purpose. I really firmly do not believe that. It's my belief that those things were allowed to happen in my life because my purpose in life is to actually reach out to other people who are going through tragedies similar to mine, who really are at a point where they want to take their own lives, and they are suicidal, they are hopeless, they're helpless, they feel completely unsupported, and they're wandering through life like they don't belong to anyone, and why am I even alive? I have literally had people say those words to me. Why am I even alive right now? Right. I wish I could just die. Or I've had people that have wanted to commit suicide. I had a family member call me and say, I have a friend of mine who was sexually abused and she wants to commit suicide, and I told her she needs to talk to you.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that person is still alive today. In fact, she's going to be getting married. And the reason she's alive today, I'm not trying to say that I'm some sort of hero here. I'm not, but I believe that God allowed me to survive what I went through, what was meant for my harm, so that I could live all this time and show up now as my adult self and be an advocate and a good listener and a supporter and a voice for people that don't have a voice, and really just an encourager to encourage them to know that they're not alone. So,
right.
so that's my belief, and I'm not here to shove my quote-unquote religion or faith or belief system down anyone's throat, and neither is Bobby.
No.
But I am here to encourage you to really, really consider just sharing your beliefs with us in our chat next week. Share with us what you've gone through. Has someone used church or religion as a way to lure you in and groom you and then abuse you?
Right.
Have you lost your faith because of your abuse? Has your faith been the foundation in which you've been able to grab your footing on, and now you're okay because of your faith? It could swing in so many different directions, and it's just a conversation worth having, and it's not a conversation everyone likes, but we are going there, and we're going to continue to go there, to those tough places, because we know that you're worth it, and we want you to believe that you're worth it.
Yeah. Well, you know, for human beings, I think it's an innate struggle with, why did things happen this way? Did I do something wrong? Why was this allowed to happen? That we all, I think, grapple with those kinds of questions. And they do tend to kind of migrate over into the area of faith. So it's an important topic for us to talk about. And if you identify as being a spiritual person but not religious, that's fine. How have you made sense of that existential question? How have you made about those big questions of, why did this happen to me? What am I supposed to do with it now that I have it? And I've kind of found my way. What do I do with it now? How do I incorporate it into my life? Those are the big, deep questions that we want to talk to you guys about, because they're important. They're those foundational issues in our lives, and they're hard, but we don't want to shy away from them. We want to talk about them with you, because that's going to help you in your recovery. If you figure out why you think what happened to you, and what there might be a greater purpose, whatever that is, then it might help you. So if there's anything we can do that might help you, we're going to tackle it.
Absolutely.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Talk about the hard stuff, the embarrassing stuff, the humiliating stuff, the shameful stuff, all of it. That's why we're here.
All of it.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to, I have a little blurb here. We're getting ready to have some things for our podcast professionally recorded, and you know, we always want your feedback, and we're so happy that you're here with us. We're so happy that you've tuned in, and we want you to know, just as a thank you for being one of our loyal subscribers, that we enjoy adding value to your life. It's the reason we're here, and we want to continue to add value to your life and the lives of your loved ones that have survived childhood trauma or sexual abuse. And as always, this show features a valuable downloadable PDF resource that is available on the topic we discussed today, which is dissociation.
Right.
And you can get that valuable downloadable resource for yourself. It is free. It's just complimentary. We just want you to have it. And that's at nomoreshameproject.com/downloadables. And we just are so glad that you're here. We do enjoy being your weekly hour of education, encouragement, and support for healthy, informed trauma recovery. And we encourage you to also be on the lookout for the No More Shame Project Anthology Volume 1, which is being published November 17th, 2014.
Yep. And in fact, the whole month of November, we are designating No More Shame November. And we're going to have some blog link-ups and blog posts and different ways that you can connect with other survivors. You can hear their stories. You can hear what it is that they might think is a good tip to help you in your recovery. We'll point you towards other or in real life that you can connect with. We're just going to take the whole month to focus on trauma recovery and no more shame, and spreading the word. So beyond our community of survivors, and helping to break down some of that stigma, so that eventually there is very little left to have to break down. Wouldn't that
Yeah,
be something?
absolutely. I just am so excited. I'm so excited to be at this point in my recovery journey to where I actually have days that go by when I don't have any type of PTSD. I don't have any type of dissociation, and I actually have a healthy day where I've made healthy choices. So I could not say those things prior to digging in and going through my my memories. And I
Yeah.
know that this sounds so cliche, but I am a firm believer that the only way out is through. You cannot go around or under or over the issues that show up in your life on a daily basis. Now, I really am a huge proponent of working through those things and going to the hard places, because
Yep.
it's worth it, and you are
It
worth
is.
it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you so much for being with us tonight, and thank you for being tolerant of our continued technical issues. We're going to have a little debrief with figure out what in the world is going on. But we
Yep,
promise that we'll keep you informed of where we are going to be every Wednesday night. If we change, we'll let you know. Watch our Twitter feed. Watch us on Facebook. And we will always have information for you, so you know where to find us and you know how to connect with us. So,
absolutely. Moving forward, we are going to have a link available on our website where you will be able to find out what we're doing every week, and that is nomoreshameproject.com/watch,
there you go.
WATCH, watch.
There you go.
So we look forward to connecting with you. We're so happy that you are here with us, and please reach out to us on social media or leave a comment below.
You bet. And we'll see you back next week. Same time, same place.
Aloha.
Good night, everybody.